beats. Oh, them damn beats. So damn fresh. The freshness. Internet. What's up, Internet? Back again with another weekly update of what's going on in the old fish room. As most of you know, I gotten a little bit behind on the Paludarium, as you can see here at the beginning of the video. After pulling down a bunch of parts out of the 240, I've pretty much been holding everything in the Paludarium. So I've had a ton of extra plants, a ton of driftwood. You can see here I'm filling up a bin with a bunch of the driftwood that I wanted to keep wet. I still don't have my buckets. I have some trash bins with wheels and stuff. They're up at a buddy's house, and they're too far to drive to go get, so I was hoping he was going to bring those down, but he hasn't brought them down in a while. One of the plants I was really dealing with is starting to really grow out of hand. Is one of these pond plants, and I cannot remember the scientific name of it, but that's alright, because the common name for these are just white lilies. I have the scientific name somewhere. I don't know where, but they've really taken off and starting to grow out of the tank, so they needed to be pulled out of the coconut netting and actually planted. Just kind of the motivation to get this going. Also, I'm going out of town this weekend. I'm headed to Nampa, Idaho, to go hang out with my grandmother and go help her out with some stuff and see what, before winter kicks in. She's 90 something now. I think she's 94. I'm not sure. Could be right, could be wrong. I'm close, though. I do know that. As you can see, I got, using the bin on the floor filled with water, and I got a couple more bins set up that I filled up with a bunch of stuff that I'll just let sit until I'm back Monday. It's going to be pretty nice to get out of town for a little bit. Been in town for a while, working pretty hard, getting a lot of art together and whatnot. This tank has gotten really, really neglected over the past month, probably. Just sitting around. You can see here I'm setting up cameras to put inside the tank, which I'm getting better at. I wouldn't say I'm that great, but I'm getting better. Here's me, that coconut fiber is wrapped in this like plastic mesh. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it is a great little system to get them bulbs to get going. Just bear in mind that if you are buying these plants, to get them in water right away. Some of them I neglected to get in the water and they just never came back. You can see the giant root system. This is even after trimming, splitting the plant up from how it was to get it to plant. Not the easiest in the world to plant, but you just got to be kind of aggro with it. See here, I even just gave up on the tongs and started using my hands to jam it in there. That lava substrate that I have in there isn't exactly the easiest substrate in the world to get plants into. I think later in the video I'll be showing you moving around and planting in some of that. I constantly get questions about my substrate. I used some red lava in this one to kind of bulk up the scape. It's a cheap way to really build up your hills and stuff. I think it's like $4 or $5 a bag, and I think it's a 30 or 40 pound bag. And I think I added 3 or 4 bags to this tank. It's a 180 gallon tank, 6 feet long by 2 feet. The water depth in this is about 15 inches, maybe 16 inches, with a gap in the top. to let plants grow up above. I've been really, like I said, I've just kind of set this tank up and then just kind of forgot about it. Just let it do its thing. Most of the stargrass has been growing fine. Ludwigias, a bunch of Anubias and stuff in the back was kind of doing all right. Be relocated and treated a little bit better over the next couple months. But a lot of the rocks were just in stupid spots and had to do a whole big rescape on this. A lot of the plants were just growing wrong. And I'm only running 2 light bars on this right now. I've got a double T5 in the front and a double T8 in the back. It's just not needing a ton of light. It just needs a little bit of light. Here you can see some of the driftwood bundles that I make. Basically, over time, it's really easy to accrue these individual driftwood sticks that are just ridiculous to do anything with. So what I end up doing is I'll bunch them all together in a spot so I can actually make something out of just these individual sticks, and then I zip tie them together in the pattern that I'm looking for. It tends to work out pretty well if you can get a good tight. If you can get them configured in a really tight way, they'll hold together pretty well, and the zip ties will, they won't last forever, but they'll last long enough. If they last a year, that's plenty of time. I'll be long since bored with it by then and want to move them around and change them up. But that's all of the driftwood in here is all made out of all those little leftover sticks and stuff are all bunched together to make larger driftwood pieces. I get a lot of questions about that when I set them up like this. People ask me, where do I get that driftwood? That's manzanita. I get it from manzanita.com, and they're really nice people. You have to call them up and order. They're kind of old school. But if you call them and order, you can actually talk to the guy on the phone. He's really knowledgeable. It's just all he does all day is manzanita wood stuff. Really nice guy, kind of old school, but you're gonna get that old school treatment. A couple of little planter boxes I have. I have 3 of them for this tank. I finished up this one. I put a little bit of fluval stratum into that one. Much easier to plant into than see this one here on the right. It has lava rocks in it, and it's just a nightmare to get anything to get in there properly. You can see how I have to pull up the lava rocks and then put them back. What a pain. What a pain. That kind of crap drives me nuts, but the lava rock does work really well. Using aquaponics and hydroponics quite a bit. And we're, it's a lot easier to deal with in those applications than it is down in an aquarium, because in an aquarium you're digging around deeper and you're trying to look through water. It's not up to the surface like it is in aquaponics or hydroponics setup. And here you can see I'm using some of that fluval stratum. That's probably my favorite substrate out there, would be the fluval. There's shrimp substrate, and they're planted substrate. It's basically the same stuff. It's just one's a little bit smaller than the other one. Like I said, these rocks were just all over the place wrong, and it was just kind of driving me nuts. And as you can see, there's another plant back there that is in that coconut bundle. I don't know if that's showing up very well in the video. I'm not the best videographer yet. A couple of up close shots of my arm. That's amazing. But anyhow, like I said, these rocks were all just kind of piled in here. I remember being really hurried when I was setting this up, which is typically what happens with my aquariums, because I have a limited amount of time to work on them, and I'm not paying myself to work on them. So generally other projects like the paying ones get in the way of spending a good amount of time on my tanks, but I also try to keep them as simple as possible at the same time, so that I don't have to constantly be messing with them, to keep them nice and doing what I want, like breeding shrimp. Breeding the crystal shrimp is probably the most intensive thing that I do, as far as my tanks go. But I generally set them up so that they're a pretty self-contained ecosystem. It's one of the reasons why I stick with planted tanks more than anything else. It came up in one of the forums recently, just this last week. People wondering why I don't do reefs anymore. Not that I think that they're really that high maintenance. It's just that you have to do maintenance to them. My freshwater tanks, my systems are so big that if I do miss maintenance for a day or two or even a week, it's not the biggest deal in the world. That's one of the reasons why I have planted tanks. The plants are running, and the way that I set them up are running basically a small ecosystem that's going to be able to withstand some variables, variables in temperature, variables in fresh water, the influx of nitrates, ammonia, those kinds of things are not going to be that big of a deal if I get a little bit here and a little bit there. They generally get handled by the system. You can see here I'm throwing in one of the planter boxes up in the back, and I still have not painted the back of this tank, but I do swear next week, probably one of the first things I'll do Monday is get the back of this tank painted, not planted. I'm gonna get it painted so that it has a background, and I'll definitely make a quick video on painting the background and how I go about laying out and doing that, so that people can have an idea and see what kind of paints I use to do that. Painting on acrylic's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's also not the most difficult. It's a nice smooth surface. Temperature in the shop is pretty good, so painting in there is not too bad. And kind of an overall shot here, you can see that the 240 butts right up to the Paludarium, and I was hoping to have the other 180 butt up to the other end. It just doesn't make any sense with that I have a window that's right there. Doesn't make any sense to push the tank over that way and block off that window, but I may end up doing it that way anyhow. It still doesn't have water in it and stuff, so I could still move it. I have some other videos coming out of the other 180 that is basically opposite of this 180 against the other wall, straight back there. Got a couple of final overview shots here. You can see that Sterigene repens. I don't even know how to say it correctly. The repens in the front is just malnourished. I had a ton of driftwood over it, so it wasn't even getting any light or anything like that. The stargrass is in definite need of trimming, and you can see a portion of it in this shot. I'd already started trimming it, but I didn't quite get it in the video, and the parts that I did get shot are going into a how to deal with that video that'll be coming out next week. How to trim Sterigene. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. There's probably somebody out there losing their mind right now, but we normally just call it repens, so that's the easy part I know how to say. But overall, I'm pretty stoked. The arrowhead leaf is a tricky new plant. Yeah, and see that? Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that damn subscribe button. Subscribers are always good. Maybe someday I'll get what do you call it? Sponsored or some shit. Whatever that's called. I don't know. Somebody pay me to do this shit. Alright. I'm going on vacation. Later.